Hey guys, what's going on? I just wanted to take some time before I jump into the meat of this video to thank all of you who have shown me support and love over the last week. As most of you know by now, we had to say goodbye to our family dog Max on this past Friday. And I posted 2 videos on that, and I got nothing but incredible comments from all of you guys, and I really expect nothing less at this point because you guys are always really supportive. And in this video I'm going to show you my 3DS collection. These are all the games that I have bought up to this point. Now the Nintendo 3DS has been out for about 5 months at this point, actually a little bit over 5 months, and I have 10 games that I bought for the system. Well, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this, and I'll show you guys the 10 DS games, or the 10 3DS games that I own currently. First game, and this just is in no particular order. This one's on the top of the pile here, so I picked this one up first. But it is easily the best game on the 3DS. There's maybe a couple other competitors, but personally, I've always loved this title. And that's, as you could probably tell already, Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time 3DS, or Ocarina of Time 3D. It was easy for me to go ahead and pick up this game right off the bat. Let me show you just the back of it so you have an idea, the front of it. Most of you guys already know enough about this game that you don't need a lot of detail because this is a classic game, came out on the N64, and I have definitely enjoyed playing this game. Haven't been able to spend as much time on it as I've wanted to, but I have enjoyed playing this. And if you are a 3D owner or a 3DS owner and you've either never played the Ocarina of Time or you have played the Ocarina of Time and you enjoyed it, I would say this is, a highly recommended game. Next game is Samurai Warriors, or Chronicles Samurai Warriors. Now, when this game came out, and this was one of the launch titles, I kind of checked out some gameplay footage of it, decided that I wanted to pick it up because of the content that was out there in this game. This game really has a lot of gameplay to it and a lot of depth. It's your typical Samurai Warriors slash, I can't think of the other games that are real along these lines. You think about 99 Nights, something like that, Dynasty Warriors. This is right along the lines of all of those same games, hack and slash, with a storyline that is based on historical moments in Japanese time. I guess that's the best way to describe it. The game does kind of take some liberties of changing some of the things from actual events to fictionalization, but just to kind of make the gameplay a little bit more fun. The next game is Dream Trigger 3DS, or Dream Trigger 3D. I always want to say 3DS. Now, this is, I guess technically you could call it a shoot 'em up or shmup, but it's a little bit different in the sense that you have to discover the enemies on screen by using the stylus on the bottom screen and moving it around. You can see the enemies appear down there, and as you touch on them, it reveals them in the upper screen. It's kind of confusing, to be honest with you. I haven't gotten very far in the game because I play a little bit and I just get really frustrated with the gameplay, and maybe I just haven't given it enough of a chance. I would say for almost everybody pass on this, and I love shmups, and I was hoping that I would love this game, but I really haven't loved it. I've liked it sometimes, but most of the time I'm pretty much frustrated with it. The graphics are nice, kind of basic, but nice visuals, and the sound's really good, but in terms of gameplay, they try to just do too many things and really don't succeed at any of them. It's just really kind of confusing and convoluted. Next game is Resident Evil Mercenaries 3D. Now, if you're a Resident Evil fan, you'll probably like this game. It does have online co-op play. It is more of an arcade style Resident Evil game where you just basically go throughout each mission, and if you played any of the Mercenaries games, you know exactly what you do, but you play each of these different small boards that are pieces of from different times in the Resident Evil games, and you have to just basically mow down enemies. It's not incredibly deep, but it is fun to play. Now, the one downside to this is that The game saves to the cartridge, and there's no way to erase your game save. So if you buy this game, you're most likely not going to be able to trade it in anywhere, unless you sell it online or something like that. But it keeps all of your own content on there, so or all of your progress and everything like that saved to the cartridge. So for somebody who's looking to pick this up, they're not going to want to buy a used copy. They're going to buy a new copy. So in terms of trying to get rid of it, if you don't like it, you're probably not going to be able to. I would say check out video for it. In terms of the overall gameplay, it's solid. It's not the greatest Resident Evil experience, but for a handheld Resident Evil, the graphics are great, the 3D is cool, and overall it's fun, but not a must-have by any means. The next game is Ridge Racer 3D. I picked up Ridge Racer 3D at launch as one of the games that I really wanted to check out, and to be honest with you, I haven't really been disappointed with it. I've never really been big on the Ridge Racer series. I don't know if I said Resident Evil, but anyways, I've never been really big on the Ridge Racer series, but I've always respected the fact that it was, a different type of racing game, very arcade-like. If you haven't played them before, you probably know that it's very much an arcade racing type of game with drifting and whatnot. As far as this game in particular, the 3D graphics are great on it. I really like that. Even when you turn it down to 2D, the graphics still look really good. And the gameplay is a lot of fun. It's very deep, and it has a lot of content for what it is. The biggest downfall with it is that it has no online play, which if it had online play, I would say go out and buy it right now. But the fact that it doesn't have online play, a little bit disappointing. However, it's still a worthwhile title to own, and I'm glad that I have it in my collection. The next game is Dead or Alive Dimensions. Whoa, dropping cases here. Dead or Alive Dimensions, I've actually had a lot of fun playing this. This is actually my favorite fighting game on the 3DS. And there's a couple other fighting games. I'll show you one other one that I have in my collection. You also have Blaze Blue. This is a good one. I really like it. I never was big on the Dead or Alive series, but I'm a big time fan of this style of fighting game. And the levels are really well thought out, a lot of fun, and the graphics are great. I think that the 3D effects are really good in this game, and I've had a lot of fun playing it. Now, I mean, in terms of if this is going to change your opinion on fighters, if you don't like fighters, you're not going to like this game. If you do like fighters, you're going to like this game. There's not a lot I can say about it, but I like the game. I'm glad that I have it in my collection. Next game is Splinter Cell 3D. This is kind of a smaller version of the game that was released recently on the Xbox 360. However, it's not a lot of fun to play. Just plain and simple. I played a little bit of the game, and it kind of lost interest. I've kind of lost interest in the title. To be honest with you, if you're going to pick up any Ubisoft game right now for the 3DS, Ghost Recon, from what I've heard, is the best game out there. Haven't played that game, and I don't own it in my collection, but in terms of between those two games, you're going to get a Ubisoft game, you should get Ghost Recon. You can pass on Splinter Cell. Even if you like the most recent Splinter Cell that came out, I would say that you're probably not going to like this unless you're a huge fan of the series. And for you, you may like it. If you're not a huge fan of the series, I would say pass on it until it really drops in price. Maybe $15, $20, something like that. If you can pick it up cheap, it might be worth the pickup. Other than that, not much to say about it. The next game is Super Street Fighter 4 3D Edition. And this is another game that I picked up on launch. And to be honest with you, I like the game. I've never been a big Street Fighter fan, but this is a good game. And my only gripe about the game, and this is also kind of with Dead or Alive as well, is the fact that if you're playing online, there's nothing to disable the touchscreen combos. If you play the game, you know what I'm talking about. But you can basically use your stylus and touch the combo at the bottom of the screen, and it automatically does the combo for you. There's nothing to disable that in online play. So basically, if you're going to play online, you just might want to be hitting that button all the time. I'm sure that there's other people out there that are really good at the Street Fighter game and can do it without that. But for me, it's kind of one of the downfalls of the game, because I would rather just play against somebody online and both have, you do have an even playing field, but both have the option to not, not for either of the players to be able to use that little tiny touchscreen gimmick. Uh, the only other downfall that I see with the game is the fact that all of the visuals in the background are static, so there's no movement, there's nothing like that. The graphics look great, but for some reason, and one of those things when you're playing in Street Fighter, is seeing those characters in the background moving around and interacting and doing different animations is always kind of a neat thing. But this game doesn't have any of that. They're just static, standing there, and it really kind of takes a little bit away from the almost the realism or the environment of the game. So other than that, it's a definitely a good fighting game, but I'm sure most of you already know that. Next game is Pilotwings Resort, and the reason why I picked this up was because I've always been a big fan of the Pilotwings series going back to the SNES. However, I feel like Nintendo really dumbed down this version of Pilotwings and made it a little bit, well, I'd say more than a little bit easier for players. There's kind of sometimes this mentality that people who play the DS or people who play Nintendo handheld consoles want an easier experience. It's not the case, though, as all you need to do is look around and you see all kinds of hardcore gamers playing the DS and the 3DS. For me, if I'm buying a game like this, I want as much content as possible, and I don't mind, a harder difficulty if it makes the game more fun. And to me, with this being a little bit of an easier difficulty, it makes the game less appealing. Excuse me. I would just prefer that it was a little bit harder, at least for my taste. Now, the graphics are great. The 3D effects are probably the best that I've seen in any game. I shouldn't say the graphics are great. I mean, if you've played any of the Wii Sports games, that's what kind of graphics you're going to get with this. But the 3D effects I really enjoy. I like the 3D effects on this game, probably most out of any 3D game or 3DS game that I've played. The only thing that I would say, in addition to the fact that it's a little too easy, is the fact that you get really tired of seeing the same environment over and over again, and eventually you've pretty much seen everything that there is to see as you're just playing on this small island. Other than that, it's a good game, but I would say that you're not missing anything if you wait a year or two down the road and then pick it up. And last but definitely not least is Shin Megami Tensei Devil Summoner Overclocked. It's definitely a mouthful. Now this game here, I pretty much picked it up because I'm a huge Atlas fan. Anything that they put out on any system, I typically pick up. I just love their games. I like their style. And I was really a big fan of the original Devil Survivor game on the DS. This game doesn't really add much in terms of content. There is some additional stuff. However, it doesn't add enough to warrant picking up for that. The fact that there's, it's fully voiceover, that's really nice. Definitely good that they have voice acting in the entire game. But if you're not a huge fan of the original game and you weren't, a big enough fan of Atlas that you want to go out and pick this up, I would just say that, stick with the DS version if you own that, or wait for the sequel to come out. Other than that, I love the game. I personally, would recommend it to everybody. However, if you already played the original version on the DS and you're not a big Atlas fan, as I was saying, or not a big Mega 10 fan, then wait and maybe pick this up eventually, or just don't pick it up at all. But anyways, guys, that's the 10 Nintendo 3DS games that I own at this point.